Getting money like cashier. Get the money like a cashier. Customer, clientele. I was broke, that was last year. Getting money like a cashier. Get the money like a cashier. Benjamin, nothing less. I was broke, that was last year. Don't change them. I never switched up. Been down since day one. Stay social. People change them.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to DBT Live. We are here waiting for Kevin to join us again. And we've got a full crew. Let me see. I'm going to add him to the stream. There's Kevin.
Hey. Hey, everybody.
Welcome to DBT Live. Kevin,
we got some guests. No, I want the guests to introduce themselves. I guess we'll start it here with Christy.
Okay, hi, I'm Christy Douglas, and I am running for Commerce City Council at large, and got lots to talk about tonight. So thanks for having me. And then my husband Steve is here too. So we're kind of known as a power couple, I guess. We've heard that before. So yeah, so Steve, you can probably introduce yourself too.
Yeah, Steve Douglas, former city council member of Commerce City. And we really wanted to have this conversation a couple months ago before the election, but
I don't know what happened here.
The perfect opportunity. So really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead. Hi, Renee. Tell us about yourself.
Buenas noches, Wali. Good evening. I'm Renee Millar Chacon. I am Dene, Navajo, Mexica. We live on the land of the Ute, the Cheyenne, the Arapaho, the Lakota, the Kiowa, the Chicano, and 48 tribes that still live and travel through these homelands we now call Colorado. I am the executive director of Women from the Mountain, an indigenous woman-led nonprofit, both locally and nationally. And I'm running for Commerce City Council Ward 3. It's a good evening to meet you all.
Nice. Welcome.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
And Lucy, if you're ready, if you can hear us, please hop on, unmute yourself, and tell us who you are.
Can you hear me though?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Hola, buenas tardes. Yo soy Lucy Molina, aquí de Commerce City. I'm Lucy Molina here in Commerce City, and I'm also running for city council. I'm running for Ward 1. Here we are the most polluted neighborhood here in Commerce City. I live next to the oil refinery, Suncor, and the asphalt company, the waste management company. We're known as a sacrifice zone, and which is one of the reasons I'm running. You know, my family has been ill. My grandma died from leukemia. We have cancers. We have asthma, you name it, we got it. And it's not only me, it's a lot of my neighbors also. So which is one reason I'm running for my life, and I say for a breath of fresh air. So muchas gracias. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to join you, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much. And Lucy, I want to go ahead and stick with you for a second, because you hit me really hard with that one. My mom right now lives across the street from ExxonMobil in Baytown, Texas. So my heart goes out to you 1000%. And I want to just looking at some articles, you guys are everywhere in the media. You've been fighting for environmental justice. I want you to talk about what environmental justice means. And as you said, your family's sick. Like I get that. But talk about what you've been doing, pushing for regulation of Suncor in the last year or so.
Well, all together with my colleagues here, also, you know, I figured I can't do nothing alone. We can't do nothing by ourselves. You know, I know that I tried by myself knocking on doors, and, you know, I was until I, you know, joined my group of friends that together we did it. I don't say I won't take credit for myself, but there really is the past year alone, I would say we were fighting for the Title V permit to deny the permit. You know, right now they're emitting already 900,000 tons of cyanide a year. That they're wanting to emit more. So I mean, already we know that these are causing all these health impacts, right? Cancer, leukemia. We have in my household alone, we have the migraines, we have the bloody noses, the skin problems, the heart problems, chest pains. I mean, we have all these illnesses, right, or health impacts. Now they want to emit more. So already they admitted that they're poisoning us, but they wanna emit more. It's like they contradict themselves. They were fined by the state $9 million, right? And they were fined by the state, and then here they turn around saying, yeah, we care about the community. We're going to give this money to the community so they could do community outreach and air monitoring. And then they turn around and ask the state to emit more. I mean, I say in Spanish, nos vieron la cara de idiotas. They saw us like idiots. Like, this community is so dumb because they've been enduring this for almost 100 years that they're not even going to know what hit them again. But, I think this community's woke is what we say. This community's woke, and what we've been doing together with my colleagues and a lot of other community members and organizations is hitting the doors, talking to the community, getting their stories, finding out, that, I'm not crazy. I don't have some kind of voodoo, because as a Latinas, we have we're very superstitious. We have these beliefs. Maybe you got some bad juju, some brujeria, or somebody gave you the evil eye, and that's why your family's sick, right? You never imagine that it's an invisible enemy, that you really, you can't find this corporate greed, right? Because it's billions of dollars against little people like me, a single mom here next to in one of the lowest income communities in the state. So we know Commerce City, 80022 and 8029 Denver. These are the two the poorest communities in the state of Colorado. It was Pueblo, but yeah. So those are some of the things that we've been doing. I mean, there's a lot more, and I'm pretty sure some of my compañeras here, my girls here will share also. But this has just been the last few months. But yeah.
Well, thank you for breaking that down quite a bit. Now, you actually won an award from 350 Colorado for some of your efforts as well. Can you just give me a quick breakdown on that?
Thank you. I'm humbled. I got the May Climate Hero of the month for May. I'm very thankful and humbled. I mean, just for fighting for a just transition. I've been part of 350 and a lot of the other coalitions working for a just transition. And with the new administration, at least I've been woke enough to understand that there's this money coming, or this budget, this funding coming into for infrastructure, right? For move to push us to the future. And what I don't want is to be left behind again, okay? Because for 100 years we're stuck, frozen in time. I mean, we see other communities evolving and growing, and the only way we will grow is if we get gentrified, and I don't want that. You know what I mean? So I think there's we have a lot of work, and I think through 350 I was able to learn, not only learn, but also advocate for a just transition in communities like Commerce City that have been exploited and polluted for nearly a century. So yeah, that's kind of the work I'm doing with 350, and I respect their work and all of my colleagues.
Nice. So tell us, how do the people that are watching reach you? I just put your contact information up, but what do you need for your platform to go forward, for you to win to get your election in Commerce City?
We need to knock those doors. We need to knock on doors. We need bodies right now. We need bodies. We need volunteers. If you can't volunteer and if you don't have the time, I mean, give us $1 donations, right? Because that's what it's getting us to get the doors, so we could get more literature, so we could do mailers or something. I mean, I counted the days. We're 19 days now, right? before election day. So right now is really, we have the tools. We need the bodies. We need more bodies because, like, you know, I can't do it by myself. Like I said, we can't do it alone. This is when it says it takes a village, it does take a village, you know, because you know, we need to be united. And in something like this, so serious, because this is literally a matter of life and death, y'all. Okay. I would like, you know, your followers and your viewers to join us, join our team. Renee, Christy, myself, I'm Lucy Molina for Commerce City. I'll send you my information there. Join us, see how you guys can get involved. As far as hitting those doors, come and join us. We have fun. We have food here. My mom cooks for us in our little campaign office here. I have my little my little campaign
Let's
spot
go.
here. You know, literally a kitchen cabinet. When they,
Yep.
you know, it became a kitchen. It's you know, sometimes it's a tamale kitchen. Sometimes, I mean, we even been selling tamales. We've been selling tamales to fundraise my family. This is a very humble campaign. You know, it's really grassroots because, you know, I'm a single mother. I'm one of us. You know, I'm not a person of means at all. I'm just fighting for a right to really, a right to breathe, and not only for mine, for all of you guys, for all of us. You know, because, yeah.
Thank you so much for that, and it's good to know. Now we know where to go get the tamales at. So
Right.
They're good.
so look, let me switch over to Renee real quick, because Renee, you're Native American. You're representing, you know, Ute and Cheyenne and Arapaho and so many other tribes and nations. So I noticed on your website you spoke a lot about healing, you know, and being a good ancestor. Just as being Native, you're already like the original environmentalist. So, you know, how hard is it to heal when your environment's being polluted, especially by one of the biggest job providers in your community? Like, how do you deal with that conflict?
To no longer be choked out and flushed out of our homelands. One, we're not monolithic. I'm Dene and Chicana. So I am a mixture of the muddy red that Colorado literally stands for, because Colorado is no English name. It's been colonized already once before by the Spanish, and a lot of times the indigenous communities are often choked out and flushed out and then erased as if we've never been here before. The Ute, Southern Ute, actually are the only two reservations here in Colorado, and the Cheyenne and Arapaho don't even live here. They live in Oklahoma, Wyoming, and Montana. They've been completely choked out and flushed out of their own homelands, where they're not even able to reclaim and rename their own sacred spaces. Here in Colorado, you still have names like Mount Evans. He's responsible for the Sand Creek Massacre, which flushed them out. That was mainly of women and children. Then you're taught about Kit Carson. He's responsible for the longest walk of the Navajo. It's that every one of our representations in Colorado and ultimately forms of colonizations are forms of white supremacy. Stapleton, Henderson, even Commerce City was once Commerce Town, then Irondale. Henderson was not known for being very kind to the indigenous community overall. So we've always been choked out and flushed out of what has been known as a green belt, actually, for our continent, and one of the oldest intersections with the Pueblo in Colorado. So indigenous communities have always been here in some way or another, and it's fighting for that representation, fighting for that we're not monolithic. There's so many diverse narratives that have been erased from these spaces, 48 tribes worth of, and we're in contact with all of them to some degree. In the organization I worked with at Spirit of the Sun as a youth program director, where there we help define what is a disproportionately impacted community for SB 1266, which is the environmental justice bill, which laid finally some type of equity analysis of an environmental justice board for the first time ever. But the thing is, I don't want to define it. I want to eliminate it. There needs to be no more acceptable marginalized classes of frontline fence line zones to be able to have been sacrificed for some sort of economic benefit, which is always BIPOC or UDEC communities, United Descendants of Enslaved and Colonized Communities. If we just say BIPOC, they categorize us. If we just say disproportionate communities, they categorize us. The point is to constantly show that we do not want a seat at the table. We want our own table now of equity analysis. We want that for every sector. We want that for safety and health and protection now for our communities. And if COGCC, CDPHE, and all those communities were actually doing their job, we wouldn't have to actually fight for this form of equity. Most of all, I'm not a politician. I'm a community organizer. I'm actually a Samadora and Danza Azteca. I grew up in my cultural education here in Colorado. I've been protesting since I've been 3. I've seen every form of protest from Cesar Chavez, agricultural workers' rights, and have been privileged to be able to been immersed in my culture and cultural education. So now my master's is in cultural education, and we work with Future Coalition and March On nationally to reach our youth first, because our youth have the energy, but our elders know the way in our communities, in knowing where the system is not broken. I hate saying that. The system is working as designed to be this way for our communities. And it's time for the system to meet our communities at where we're at, because we have for years have suffered so many forms of systemic violence that now we can tell you everywhere, from health, from transportation, from energy, what that really looks like to heal from it. My husband, he was a nuclear engineer for the Navy. He's now a solar engineer. Solar energy is coming. And it can be a really awesome sector that could radicalize spaces, urban and rural, for Indigenous communities, but making sure that they're not predatory to the same communities, making sure they don't exploit a resource as our source of life for Indigenous communities, and recognizing from here on out that resources are sources of life for future generations. How can we preserve rights of nature for future generations? And how can we honestly recognize that in some type of American modern identity, with indigeneity now influencing that, cultural responsive now influencing that, and cultural relevancy now influencing that. So as an educator, I also advocate highly for historical accuracies, critical race theory in education, and understanding where every time you erase those narratives, you erase them from policy, you erase them from healthcare, you erase them from more than just education. And it's really incredibly important that we walk now with context for equity before we ever have talks about equality, or we're never going to have long-term equity. So that's really why I'm running, and I call it renewing. And it's been taught to me before too, that it's a form of restorative justice. It's how can we restore the communities that have been harmed, and how can we make sure that we have enforceable protections that they're never harmed in that way again.
So it sounds like not only are you interested in that environmental platform, but you have a social injustice, social injustice, but does that involve criminal justice in Commerce City as well?
Oh yeah, we need to completely defund the police. In all honesty, there is not enough specialization for the type of health awareness, the type of health disparities that we've always had. We don't even have universal health care in a way to address the aftermath or even the current issues of COVID in BIPOC or Indigenous communities. And a lot of times we throw resources that are not funded or that are not designed to actually help them. There are so many houseless sweeps, and every one of those houseless sweeps is $30,000 to $40,000 for the police and everyone to respond. Every single one of those. There's been well over 79 houseless sweeps. Can you imagine if we had bought property and able to utilize other resources with behavioral specialists that had cultural relevance and responsiveness instead of the police? I work on a task force locally with Dr. Robert Davies at Unseasoned Unboxed. And there's several behavioral health specialists that I've even done ally and accomplice training to meet even Indigenous and other communities interculturally at where we're at too, to be allies and accomplices to each other. And how can we support from our own narratives in that way? But I go hardcore on that a lot too, because we have a lot of prison to pipeline issues as well in our communities, just the same. That I'm Angela Davis advocate about that. I'm completely, absolutely abolish prisons and the prison systems and learn what it really means to dismantle what has been predatory, dismantle those forms of white supremacy in those spaces, and rebuild in a restorative justice effort in that way too. And I don't expect people to immediately be like, oh yeah, but remember this, in Colorado, the police are not, and this is found by our own government, they're not legally liable to protect you. A woman was actually beaten in front of the police, and they were found by constitutional law that they didn't have to actually protect her from her husband. So it's a misconception to think that police actually protect you. And we need to be mindful of what is an enforceable protection that's going to have community awareness and safety also first in priority, and prosecute those that become predators too, even in those systems.
So what's your source on that what you just said, the statement that you just made, that the police are not, by constitutionally, they're not there to protect you? What's your source on that?
Let me find that really quick and I'll post it in the chat.
Perfect. I love that. Thank you for all your hard work. It's a wonderful platform. Good luck to you.
Thank you. I appreciate you all for the work you do.
And speaking of work, I mean, because you guys, seriously, you're everywhere. You've done a lot. Steve, I want to, first of all, just hats off to you, just having termed out of city council in Commerce City. You've done a lot of work. So I have kind of a double question, because Christy, I've seen you getting into shouting matches with state senators when they don't, because you're saying things that they don't want you to say at the Capitol. So you guys have a lot of history, and I'm wondering what kind of baton it is, Steve, that you're trying to pass off, and Christy, also just what it is you want to pick up and run with moving forward.
Thank you, Kevin. That's a great question. Christy she's not one of those spouses that's been just in the background, when we go places, whatever. And you go to these dinners, the council members bring the spouse with and all that. And that's when you see the spouse. For me,
because they want a free dinner.
It's it's kind of like coaching. Okay, so you coach you coach your kids, and then you come home to eat. Well, no one wants to hear about what happened on the playing field. They want to be family, right? Just take that out. But for us, this is life. So me being on council, it doesn't separate our relationship, because we think alike, and she's just as frustrated as I was. But I had an opportunity. I ran 3 times before I was able to take that seat. And so, at my job, that's the first 8 hours of my day, and then from there, it's eyes and attention on Commerce City and what's happening. So if something's at the State House that affects the residents, I was down there testifying. Christy was down there. Heck, she would get a ride from Lucy, and I would meet him down there at 1:30. We'd be there till 10 o'clock at night, and then I had to go to work at 10. So it was a constant thing, every 24/7. We've involved our kids, let them know what we're doing, and also just knowing that, when I was at the dais, those are my thoughts. It wasn't Christy speaking for me or so. Matter of fact, she would come to the city council to speak her mind, and and that was pretty cool. So it just,
But you had to defend me in speaking my mind as well, because there was one time he had to get off the dais and come down to the podium to speak, to say that I had my own mind and I had a right to be there and I had a right to voice my opinion and have an opinion.
Right. So we've been watching the city council for the last 2 years, and either when we're able to attend, we were down there at the city hall, and then it switched to Zoom. So I think we've missed maybe 1 regular meeting and 1 study session. And I just told Christy, said, hey, you need to run. You need to run for city council. You just can't sit back and watch what is going on. And yes, we do have our voice. They hear us. Pretty much we're usually the only, either myself or both of us on citizens communication on those Monday nights. And that's not enough. So, and then right now there's a lot of candidates running right now at large, and most of them show up when it's time to vote. Time to be a candidate. But when there's action to be taken, where do you see those voices? Where do you see those faces? You don't.
Right.
I put a lot behind Christy, so I'm handing her the baton, and I want her to go forward with her message. She does great. She doesn't need my help at all. I'm just.
But I love having you by my side. I really do.
So, Chrissy, then what is your message? What are you running on? I have the I'm going to start with this. I got to read the Westword article where you were went to the town hall meeting, and you're laughing already. And this was in regards to House Bill 1071. That was a nice little confrontation for you. I got your name out there as well. Tell us about that, and then tell us what your platform is that you're running on.
It was quite by accident that I got name recognition from that. I wasn't expecting that at all. Actually, it was Joe Salazar who ran that bill in the House, and it was about safety from oil and gas, and
the drilling.
It was ran in the Senate. That's when I showed up at the hearing, and so Dominic Moreno carried it in for the Senate, and they were trying to close down the public hearing part, and they didn't want me to speak, and so I went up and took a seat anyway. One of the things that Sonnenberg did not want said in the hearing was explosions, and it was like, well, what part of explosions is safe? We can't talk about that. So it's like, you want to run this bill, and you want to present it from a certain angle so that it's sugar coated, and so I saw the opportunity, so I took it and went with it.
That was a huge confrontation for you. How are you feeling about after what happened? And let me just give context to those who are listening. In the town hall, they were talking about fracking and drilling, and Christy stood up and wanted to speak, but the speaker had said that if anybody mentions drilling or explosions, he will shut it down. And every time you mentioned drilling or explosions, he tried to overtalk you.
Right. Well, I just kept saying, I challenge you, sir. I challenge you. The point that I was trying to make was that I was down there as a citizen, and I was speaking for the entire community, and so they always want to control the narrative so that people only hear what they want you to hear, and so I wasn't going to have it that day. I just wasn't going to go for it, and so I pushed him to the limit. But that was because we're the people, and that's our house. And we should be able to speak the truth when we are being heard, and we have to be heard because we're the people. Right now, we don't see representation for the people. We see it from their perspective. They want to control the narrative, and they don't want to hear from the people if you want to know the truth. So I took the
Thank you for being a voice for these communities.
I also have a reputation for speaking the truth. And I would say 99% of the time, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear the truth be spoken.
So Christy, I got a chance to stalk your Facebook page for a little bit, and so I saw these. I
hate to say it, but I can't understand.
Did you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. I had a chance to stalk your Facebook page for a second, and I saw a couple of posts, and one of them was from Steve, but it was on your campaign page.
Mm-hmm.
It was talking about how we're falling behind in incentivizing electric vehicles, and that other nations such as Germany are incentivizing at point of sale. What this could mean for the environment and whatnot. And another post was talking about that there was a possible truck stop moving into your area, and what that could mean for impact of the environment.
Right.
And so I was kind of thinking, what does this mean policy-wise for ideas you may have for Commerce City?
Well, first of all, I think they should talk to the people about what they want to see in their communities. I don't think that they should just roll into town and expect to have the red carpet rolled out to them. And that's what all of the corporations seem to think about Commerce City, that they can just come in and do whatever they want to, and that the citizens are going to put up with it. So finding out that this developer wants to come in, and not only do they want to do a truck stop at 112th and 85, but they also want to do another development in the neighborhood. And rather than hearing the community out, they just want to go ahead and do it. So they go to planning. To me, we don't have a very good planning department, because what they do is rubber stamp everything that comes before them. They don't look at how it's going to impact the community, and then they put it on the conveyor belt for the council, and they expect the council to say yes. And for what I see, the council has not taken the time to really take a deep dive into what's being asked of them. And so, yeah, we're known for saying yes. So that's got to come to a grinding halt, because right now I think our planning is completely out of control. It's like throwing mud on the wall to see what's going to stick, and that's not going to serve our community at all. So
now we got to get down to brass tacks, though, because like you guys said, it's 19 days until election day. Let's talk dollars and cents, because you can't win campaigns without money. And if you guys are anything like everyone else on the call, you hate asking people for money. So I'll help spark that conversation. If anyone's watching, how can they give you money? How can they donate to your campaign and help you do something that's going to, clean the air that hundreds of thousands of people will be breathing?
Well, if you want to take care of all three of us at one time, the Climate Hawks and Be the Change, we have a Act Blue page with all three of us on. You donate, it will be split between the three of us equally. So we've got that. And you can send checks to any of us. We all have an Act Blue page. So, and the donations don't have to be big, please. We do not need, we just need a lot of people behind us. That's what we need. We need and we need the volunteers to come in and knock those doors for us.
And it's not too late, right?
Yeah.
It's not too late.
No, it's not too late. No. It's not too late at all. And next Thursday night, we have a call bank, so I can get that to you.
Okay, definitely. Get us that. We can put it up on our Facebook.
But we're going to be walking this weekend, so anybody that wants to come out, we'll feed you. Come on out, and we'll have a good time.
And we get a lot of people watching.
I'm sorry.
Say again?
This Sunday is a Black and Brown Lives Matter march for Jose Menendez Perez. He was shot in the back by a corrections officer who was found guilty. For I believe he was a youth, and he was making a mistake, burglarizing. They were running from the house, but he was shot in the back. We need to be able to provide safe spaces still without killing our youth and deciding such severe punishment right on the spot. So if you want to come in March, we'll be at the Sunken Gardens right across from West High School at 11. And we'll be offering Danza Azteca in prayer at 10:30 if you would like to join us in prayer and remembrance and vigil for justice and all those who pass from forms of systemic violence in this way and other forms.
And you said that's Saturday?
Yeah, this Sunday.
This Sunday, okay.
And I'll post the link too for that chat. And Lucy or Christy, can you post the 3 link for Act Blue? I'm looking for it.
I just had it. This one, Act Blue.
I sent my websites in there for me, and Christy has the Act Blue for the joint one, and I do want to share you guys some, because this is like new for a lot of us. Like even some of us have never run for office, right? Like it's really, even in the raza, with the Latino, it's not part of like our culture, right? Because like even 2 years ago when I ran, I was told like, hey, wait a minute, what are you thinking? You're a woman, you're Mexicana, you're like a Mexican girl. What are you doing running? This is a white man's world there. And I'm like, excuse you, so I want to show just like the why we ask for donations. Even this is one. I don't know if you guys could see the here. I'm gonna try to get it close to the camera. One of the bills here that we get to pay. These are all the that we get to get. I mean, these are from $1,300, $800. And this is everything that you guys, the donors have done for me, for us. I would not be able to do this by myself. And my mom and my family, they were fundraising tamales. We were selling tamales. We've been helping each other. It's not easy. I think the hardest thing is to decide to do it. Okay. That is the hardest thing we say a lanzarse. Lo más difícil es lanzarse, jump. When you're in the deep end of the pool, when you're there, like, okay, you know how to swim, but it's when you jump, it might hurt. It might be cold. You don't know what to expect, but you know how to swim. And you're up there. The hardest thing is like you're there thinking about it. I mean, I'm gonna jump. I'm not do it. No, maybe yeah. And next thing you know, you just do it because you can't think about this. It's not something that like I was born to do this. Nah, it took people dying, my family dying, my kids getting sick for me to do it. I didn't wait till people come and knocking at my door. I did it myself. And I always tell people, don't wait for us. Don't wait for Renee. Don't wait for Christy. Don't wait for me to knock at your door. You need to step it up yourself, okay? Because this is how us mamas did it. Not because we wanted to. We should be here feeding our kids like Renee, taking her kids to she's got little ones, Christy's a grandma. She wants to raise her grandchildren. I want to see I want to go to a game with my kids and watch movies too. We can't. Because why? Because we see the bigger picture and we want to protect our children, our future, and yours. Okay, so it's not easy. I do ask, like, what, like Christy said, $1, $5, $15, whatever you guys can donate on, to our campaign to push us over the edge. Just push us because it does take money. I mean, these people have billboards up there, they got it right, and they have supporters with big pockets. Let's just say, right, corporations, PACs, whatever is supporting them, oil and gas. Privatizers are the ones that are supporting some of these people. We are completely grassroots. We are one of us. Okay. Sometimes, I know that people try to like say, hey, you're a politician. No, Renee just said like she's not a politician. Neither am I. Neither is Christy. We didn't decide to do this. It just happened this way because nobody was doing it for me. Nobody was gonna come here to save me. Nobody was going to go and talk to Suncor because I asked my representative what he was going to do about it. And he said 3 years ago, there was nothing he can do. Okay. We're duking it out right now. It's like, okay, there's nothing he can do. Being an elected official, I walked out of there like hopeless. But then I know Stephen Douglas. I mean, he was my councilman as well. And I'm like, hey, he did stuff. He did stuff for me and he testified for me and my community. So BS, okay? BS that there's nothing they can do. If we were able to do something without being an elected official, we brought $9 million that were fined to Suncor, and $2.6 million came to this community. Although it's pocket change, we know it's pocket change, but it was a start. And none of us three had to be elected officials to do that. That means that you don't have to be an elected official to do this yourself, okay? You can do it too. You can testify. You can show up at the rallies. You can go to the school district and talk to the boards. You can do it too, okay? And now we have us. We've gone before you, meaning that we already did this. We already paved the road for a lot of people because, I mean, they slammed the door at us. They have humiliated us throughout the years, but we stand firm. And here we are right now, only to bring justice, to be able to bring a just transitions and protecting our community. So yeah, anything you guys can help us, it would totally be appreciated. And mostly like Christy said, come knock on doors, you guys. It's a whole nother experience. Learn how to, we get to meet the best and the worst out there. Okay, we met the best, beautiful people and souls out there, and we also meet some of the worst. But you know what? It's all worth it. Okay, it's all worth it. So gracias again for this opportunity. Lucy Molina de Commerce City.
And I want to make a quick point because we're talking about Suncor and it seems like so separate, and it's like, people in offices, but there's thousands of employees working at Suncor that are also breathing that in every single day. When I first moved to Colorado, I moved there from Baytown, like I said, from right there next to Exxon, and my friend was working at Suncor, and the first thing he did was offer me a job. He said, "Hey, kid, you moved down here? Finally, man. So come on, you can get this money." Offer me a 6-figure job. And like immediately I looked it up and I found out about the orange cloud floating over Commerce City. And I'm like, I'm supposed to go breathe that for a job? How do I know I'm going to be able to be there with my kids?
Now, keep in mind, that's benzene, hydrogen cyanide, and hydrogen sulfide. These are carcinogens. These are literally used in the gas chambers. And there's about 3 generations of data that we can prove have been affecting these communities. So I applaud you for noticing and holding your health and safety as sacred. That's what we honestly need, is people who understand you do not deserve to be treated like this, whether you're a voter or not, especially our immigrant community. And do not become apathetic or have forms of despair, as in learned helplessness. Oh, well, this is what we have to have for economic benefit. No, you do not. We can have a better quality of life and health and safety. And that's what restorative justice really means, is that now we can see where our economic benefit is not going to fit our future generations' health and safety. And it's not fitting ours now. And it's okay. We didn't like seatbelts years ago. I appreciate how Lucy used that as an analogy for some of our constituents. You didn't like seatbelts years ago. Well, we need regulations when corporations have gotten to the point of public endangerment. And CEOs are allowed in order to perform that way with absolutely no regulation. And that goes for other sectors too that are causing gentrification and development. That goes for transportation, who have known these types of issues and have not had regulations there too. And then for me in Ward 1, we're sandwiched between Suncor and now 4,161 permits for fracking wells. So we're literally between fracking or Suncor, and you have 104% population boom of predominantly 54% Latino and Chicano and Hispanic communities and BIPOC communities overall. So all of those that are being gentrified out of Denver are coming up here, and they're being sandwiched between fracking and Suncor. And again, you're creating another red line community of people that don't deserve it. And it shouldn't take forever to fix that for a generation. We honestly need timely enforceable protection.
Yeah.
So if you want to understand what is restorative justice, what I even do and what that looks like for policymaking and outside of this, because I'll be doing this whether I win or lose, you can look up Renee for renewingco.com. And I've worked with every sector, behavioral, solar, overall, in understanding ally and accomplice training directly, meeting our communities at where we're at, and restorative justice. What does that look like? And how have we created such issues, such as houseless relatives included, to such a degree that we're pointing at all the symptoms, but we're not actually taking care of the problem. And remember, radical actually means to get at the root of. So if we're radical, we're trying to get at the root of the actual problem to heal our communities.
Nice, thank you.
Can I jump in, because we have a commenter on Facebook that's asking several pointed questions, and I just want to address Ryan, who's asking, first of all, like why people of color would call themselves dope in the Black community. We call things that are really good dope sometimes, and when words get reappropriated and turned into something bad, some people like to maintain the white supremacist narrative that the way Black people say it isn't the right way to say it. So that's why I went ahead and stayed with that. And as being a Black man who actually came up with the name Dope Black Thoughts, a founder of this network, I'm on your school board in Aurora, Colorado. I've been helping to shape the education of 40,000 students, and we've been making leaps and bounds when it comes to achievement, graduation rates, and growth in our students, especially for Black and Brown and Indigenous and immigrant students. So we're doing really good things, and I think some of the things that we do here on this network are dope, as expletive deleted, right? But there was another question he had that actually pertained to y'all's campaign, and he was asking about you mentioned that Commerce City, how much history you had, you specifically, Renee, how much history you had in Commerce City, and he said Commerce City just has only been around since 1972. Speak to that idea as an indigenous. I'm thinking of you and Joe Salazar talking about my family's been here for like 6 centuries and whatnot. Speak to that point.
keeping in mind we just celebrated Indigenous Peoples Day. I'm not even going to call it the other one because it's Indigenous Peoples Day. So go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but throw that in there.
Oh, thank you. I love and respect you for that. Thank you. Yes, we just celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day. And honestly, Indigenous Peoples Day is every day until we can honestly decolonize. And you can be BIPOC and hold colonial paradigms, and you can also decolonize colonial paradigms, such as readdressing dope. You can decolonize and rebuild your own narrative because that's what culture is. You can rebuild your own culture and the modern identity. And that's what this looks like, is being able to re-empower that.
Especially when it was stripped from you.
Exactly. Right. When you've been erased from your own identity, right, and meant to feel like an imposter, especially in your own homelands or in your own space, in your own towns that you found. Yeah. Even here in Colorado overall, there were a lot of Black communities that have been erased as well. Once they were able to hold an economic foothold, they were always erased. It has happened to every community since Indigenous communities. And Commerce City was not found before that. It was actually Commerce Town before that, and Irondale before that. It was all the same space. All of it was found on industrialization. Before that, actually, on South Platte River, it was encampments of the Cheyenne and Arapaho. And the South Platte was actually called Moonshell River because it was so clear, used to be able to look like there was a shell at the bottom there. And in Cheyenne and Arapaho tongue, that's what it actually means. Now it has 35 particulate pollutants in it. So it's reassessing. And again, you might have been taught from a colonial paradigm to think that is when Commerce City started. Indigenous communities can tell you that no treaties were ever honored, and there's been a whole lot of people here since before that. And frankly, that's what land back means, is reassessing those spaces with equity, relearning what that means to reclaim, rename, and rebuild now with those communities that have always been erased, to be able to come back and reclaim those narratives and rename them and show restoration even down to the elements. That also means down to the soil and water. Did you know mycelium can pull particulate pollutions? It also adds to soil retention. There are ways to restore and heal our communities. We even work with NASA scientists. You can even rebuild the polar ice caps eventually if you do forms of restorative justice. Stop complete carbon sequestration and understand what that looks like in every sector, whether it's from the soil, protecting rights of nature, or reclaiming and renaming spaces. This year alone, they actually just renamed S Mountain, which stands for Squaw Mountain now, to Owl Woman Mountain for the Cheyenne and Arapaho. They actually now have an initiative to rename Mount Evans because he is responsible for the Sound Creek Massacre. Maybe eventually Commerce City should be renamed. Okay. And as a matter of fact, they're actually trying to propose a shopping center called Sand Creek, which is absolutely tone deaf to our Indigenous community, who, if you know Colorado, should be anonymous, any name again for Sand Creek, with the massacre of the Cheyenne and Arapaho elders, women, and children mainly. So it's reassessing that no, Commerce City, maybe as an industrial space called Commerce City at that time was, but it was many names before. And Henderson, who actually stole that land initially as a farm owner, was a white supremacist in the space as well, who eliminated Indigenous communities.
Quick question. Mom's Clean Air Force. Talk about that.
Lucy?
Well, I'll start, I guess, with Mom's Clean Air Force. I'm actually with Eco Madres. It's part of Mom's Clean Air Force. Eco Madres is like the Spanish version of Mom's Clean Air Force. So I'm so really, it's all moms volunteers. We're all volunteers. None of us get paid for this. And I'm very moved with Mom's Clean Air Force. And I'll throw that in here in a bit at the chat, the website, because right now they just did a national, I think it's an international Spanish video that you guys got to see it. It's on Facebook right now on their it was live just a while ago, educating the Latino, the Spanish speaking community. It's completely in Spanish, educating them about the climate crisis, right? These are all moms, concerned moms nationwide that are advocating for their children's future, basically, so I'm very honored to be able to work with Mom's Clean Air Force. I work with Shayna Oliver and Miss Laura. Also, she's one of our council members up in Broomfield. That I'm very thankful for them and the work that they do, because at least for me, I like I said, I don't know everything, y'all. I don't know everything. I want to humbly say that everything I've learned through like Christy, some like right now I learned some things with when I was listening to Renee. I'm like, whoa, I was like, so always
Yes.
we're learning, right? And if I don't know it, I think a lot of people know me by, I always say I was not invited. Is how why you know me is because I crashed the party. I started showing up in spaces I was not invited. I started showing up. I just started showing up and showing up until I was like, wait a minute, why is all these white dudes here making decisions for me and my family? Why was not I included? Why did not? How did it manage not to filter from COGCC or CDPHE down to the county, down to the city, so the city can tell even the district, so the district can send me a note to my school to my kids, so let me know that I'm getting hit with all these pollutants, right? No, they haven't done that. I mean, little things like that. It's like, okay, then that's where I started showing up, right? I'm like, okay, pues si no me invitan, if I don't get invited, well, I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna crash the party. So I tell you guys, y'all need to crash the party, okay? Because they're making decisions without us. Just like right now with the district, Adams 14, we lost our accreditation. I have my kids are in that school, Adams 14 district. Okay, two of my kids are in that about to graduate, and then they lose. I mean, it's excuse me to say this, but it's some kind of shit show that they've been doing at the state level, the state board, when they are making decisions for me and my children without
Yes.
an executive committee. I mean, privately, what the heck? The future of my children are being decided by a handful of people that have nothing to do with my community. They've never even come over here. They didn't even know that my kids miss school because they're sick, because they have migraines, or because they're having bloody noses. They don't even know that. Okay, yet they're allowing, CDPHE is allowing to emit more. The state of Colorado is trying to privatize our district. And okay, come on, we're getting hit left and right in Commerce City. Okay, so then, man, this is, there's so much. That's why I say I have no choice, Kevin, Stephanie, you guys, I have no choice to step it up. Commerce City, I've been as a single mother working 2 to 3 jobs. I mean, I was a waitress, I was a bartender a la chispa, working a day job and a night job, a weekend, just to, get my kids through. And then they hit me with truancy because my kids are missing school. And then I had to find out, wait, why are my kids sick? It's not me. It's just a mess. I just figured, hey, I always say World War III showed up in my front yard. It's not that I'm not over there. I mean, these issues showed up in my yard, in my front door. The school privatization, the issues with Suncor, these things showed up in my front yard. What am I supposed to do? Sit down and watch telenovelas? Sit here and watch the soap operas? Watch The Price is Right? Nah, okay. I have to step it up as a parent, as a
amazingly courageous thing to do, and that was to get off your couch and go and represent the people of your community. When you saw a problem, you met it, and you went out and you did something about it. So we thank you all for being here tonight. I want you guys to roll through your website so that those who are listening can contact you. Let's start with you, Lucy. Give us your website again. Tell the people how to reach you, and again what you're running for.
Yes, I just put it in there, and my website's in there. I'll put it there again. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Again, I'm running in Commerce City, and I'm just going to read this quickly. I am not a politician or a token candidate. I am a mother, a daughter, sister, friend, and neighbor. I am one of us, serving my community with a mother's heart. From the local, county, state, and federal level, bringing our voices and stories to the table in places we have not been included. It's time we elect leaders, not in search for glory, power, or special interest. A true leader must grow together with their people, not leaving anyone behind. So from north to south, the time to unite is now. Through love. Ward 1, vote Lucy Molina for Commerce City. Thank you. God bless you.
All right, Renee.
Thank you for this opportunity, and I'm grateful for all of you for the work that you do. If you want to look me up, it's Renee, RENEE, for renewingco.com. And I also, if you want to know our website or where we work for Women from the Mountain, it's women with an X from the mountain.com. And I run for restorative justice. I grew up in these spaces in Indigenous communities. I worked with all the Indigenous communities overall for so many campaigns, from the Hughes Land Back, Orange Shirt Day, and Native American Housing Committee, you name it, and Spirit of the Sun, and so many spaces. And it's understanding that now's the time for quality of health and safety for our future generations. How are you going to be a good ancestor now? You are living now.
Mhm.
And understanding that responsibility with love, that this has to be direct action in how we communicate to our communities, that now's the time for community over competition. We legitimately need forms of restorative practices that are going to heal where there has never been safety, that are going to protect where there has never been those forms of protection. And most of all, where we get to have it from our own self-determination for having survived so many forms of genocide and so many forms of systemic oppression. We can unite under these perspectives, but it's going to have to come again with love, which is patience, courage, awareness, and endurance. So understanding what type of action that truly is to organize to restore, and to be able to do that with the justice that we all deserve now for our future generations. So I thank you for this opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Christy.
Yes, and I also thank you for this opportunity. This has just been remarkable, I must say. And to listen to these two women that I'm running with, it humbles me, it honors me, it makes me so proud to know that there are other people who care enough to make the sacrifice and to step up to the plate. And I'm honored to be with all of you. Otherwise, this podcast wouldn't be possible. If you weren't willing to step up and put something like this out, we wouldn't have a platform to speak on. So I just really thank you for that. So,
and you're running at large, correct?
Yes, I'm running at large, so I'm the whole city. And this has worked out so well because we needed somebody really strong to run in Ward 1. We needed somebody really strong to run in Ward 3. And this is, it's kind of like the universe has aligned, and I'm just thrilled about the situation. So yes, I am at large in the whole city, and I love the whole city. And the future is now. And we have to understand that in Commerce City. We can't keep going down this same path that we've gone down and expect to be something different. We have the opportunity, because of our location and the people that we have here, to turn that corner and bring the city into another direction, because we have so many possibilities here. I have some really big shoes to fill and running at large to fill the void that Steve left. But I know he's by my side right here with me. Anytime that I feel like I can't go on, he is there to pick me up and put me back to where I need to be. And I am so grateful to have a partner like Steve. We've got 5 beautiful kids together, and he's my life partner, and I thank God for that. So,
all right. Well, ballots have already gone out. A lot of people should have already received your ballot in Commerce City.
Yes.
You'll see these names on those ballots for those you are watching. Please vote. Vote your own interest. Make sure that your voices are heard, and the way that you do that is you vote. So look at those ballots. They need to be returned by November 2nd.
And I got a dope black thought for you guys. I got a dope black thought. Yeah, go ahead and hold that up. Hold that up, Lucy. We got a dope black thought for you. People running for school board in 27J and Adams 14 need to come on the show. We need to talk about these issues that you guys have brought up. Yeah, you were speaking to my heart. Renee and Lucy were speaking to my heart when you were talking about, critical race theory. You're talking about, just Indigenous Peoples Day is every day. I feel like Black History Month is every month, right? And we have to address these things. Everything has to be folded in together, and we have to talk about, who's going to be taking the reins moving forward. So hats off to all these.
We're really lucky in Adams 14. We don't have any contended races, and we have really good people finally in Adams 14. 27J is another story.
It's really contentious. That's my children's school.
Yeah, we have some.
We were actually just closed down last week for school threats against staff specifically.
Right.
And they don't know if it does correlate with the contentious school board meeting. But right now, the school board meeting's contentious over mask mandates, over COVID vaccinations, and over specifically critical race theory, which again, for little dynamics kids like mine who still have to learn about Kit Carson, we need to have critical race theory, honestly. If my kids have to learn the truth, everyone should have to learn the truth. These are historical accuracies, and not just for my community, for the Black community included, and all disproportionately impacted communities that deserve to have their narratives from day one.
I think calling critical race theory is probably what's blocking everybody. This is history, and history needs to be taught exactly how it has happened. There's no fighting it. So.
And look, you know, I was turning my camera off because it was so beautiful to see women speaking, just powerful women on our network, and I'm really proud of that. But I feel like I've been leaving Steve out, and I want to give Steve an opportunity to bring a good word to us before we wrap up. But Steve, do you have anything you want to contribute before the end of the show?
You know, there's something really contentious going on right now with Commerce City with the current master developer, which is Oakwood. Shea Holmes was the master developer started back in 2000. The agreement was that they would get 33% of 3% sales and use tax and permits for 20 years. That's going to sunset here at the end of this year. So right now, Oakwood took over from Shea back in 2017. They're receiving $1 million a year. And to order to offset that, that's coming out of taxpayers' coffins. That's not just pulling out of the air. And so this is up for discussion. So I want people to understand what is happening right now. Oakwood wants to come back and reinstate that, continue that agreement, extend it out for 10 years to receive, and they have $150 million worth of capital improvement projects in the mix. So that means there's going to be more than $1 million a year that they're going to receive. So people need to get woke and ask a tough question. The
Green Valley Ranch.
The people, your council member that are in those seats need to be pushed to do things that are going to benefit the citizens, not the developers.
Well, and that goes back to what Lucy was talking about. No taxation without representation.
That's right.
These are your voices right here. Vote in your own interest. Make sure that you're voting so that what you believe in will be put to an issue, will be put to a ballot, and will be put to a vote. These are the people that you want representing you so that you can have your interests heard.
Thanks, Stephanie.
So again, thank you so much, everybody, for coming on.
Thank you, Kevin.
November 2nd.
Gracias.
De nada.
So we will contact you about getting the school board members on your show and let them go ahead and say what they need to say so people can actually hear what's happening, because they did have a school board forum. It was put on by the students, which the students did a great job, but the critical questions were not put forward. So.
Right. Yeah, it was really funny because I saw one of their vehicles parked, well, the ones who do not want to have critical race theory taught in the classroom. And on the vehicle is written transparency. And I'm thinking, yeah, it's transparent. We can see through what you're trying to do here. So
yeah, they don't want transparency when it comes to critical race theory.
Oh, no, they don't, because
that's further transparency.
Right.
It scares them.
Right.
Well, again, thank everybody. Thank you to everybody, and let's wrap it up. This has been wonderful.
Gracias. Yes, donate. Help us. Please sign up to volunteer. Actually, that would be great. Help us hit those doors. Help us talk to the people. Help us hit those doors. Gracias. God bless you.
Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Have a gentle evening. Thank you.
Buenas noches, and thank you, Christy, for being on with us.
Thank you.
Kevin, you want to say it? DBT out.
DBT out.